Hi, it's Lisa returning again, just going to make a nice quick simple card again, just using the stencil, stamp and the birthday greeting stamp as well. We're going to create just a nice little simple card that has like a little 3D effect as well. So I'll just pop this aside for the moment. What we're going to do is just grab a piece of scrap paper. I normally would work on the stamping platform, but because I'm wanting to keep it clear for my card, I'm going to use a piece of scrap paper. So just with a sponge, I'm going to pick up some colour and just in long dragging motion, I'm going to colour that card. So we're going to colour two pieces. So once again, just pick up your paint. From top to bottom, just drag that colour through. And we'll set that aside for that to dry. The next step I'm going to do with the makeup station, these are handy just for using stencils. With a piece of cardstock, just place it onto the makeup station. You're then going to get your stencil. Now with the number, there's a little number down in the bottom corner. If you have that facing up, you know it's the correct way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to line that up with the two edges, then placing the magnets to stop this from, rather than using tape, just to stop it from going everywhere. So it's just holding it down into place. Now the sponge that I'm going to use is just like a little makeup sponge. I'm going to pick up the Trees Are Green. So what I'm doing, I'm actually inking that up and then I'm tapping the excess off. I don't want too much paint on that sponge. And then just quickly dabbing that over the stencil. It's making sure you don't squash it through the stencil or else your paint will actually squeeze through and make it too wet looking. So just randomly going right over that stencil to fill in all those little pieces. So once again, pick up your paint, tap the excess off, and then bring it to your cardstock. Just takes a little while to get in each corner. But as I said, just don't squeeze your sponge for that paint to ooze through. Okay, so I've put the green on. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick up the blue. So the blue is the glacier ice. So tap the paint on and then tap it off. And what I'm going to do is just go around the outside of it just to highlight the stencil, just to put another colour onto it. So just trying to get into those little pieces again. And the good thing about the magnets, it's just stopping it from like slipping. Like you could use some double-sided tape, but I'm finding that this little workstation is really quite handy for the stencils. Okay, so remove your magnets. When you take that stencil off, you've got a really nice pattern with the green and the blue. I'm just going to set that aside. What we're going to do next, we're going to actually stamp the image. So with your stamping platform, I've basically put a piece of A4 reflex paper into the stamping platform. It's just that this stamp is a little bit longer than this square, so I'm wanting it to go onto this scrap piece of paper rather than going onto my stamping platform. So by placing that into the corner, so you're butting it up in at two corners. With your stamp, it's just placing it where you're wanting it to be stamped. Once you've placed it, you're putting the lid down, you're picking the stamp up. With the archival ink, you're then going to ink that stamp up. And then bring that down. If you happen to miss a piece of black, what you can do, you can go and re-ink the stamp, and then that's basically in position to go straight back over to that stamp again. So I've placed the one stamp there. I'm going to remove that And then I'm just going to reposition it into another area. Once again, pick that up. You'll see that there's a bit of black on there, but we're going to cover that over by inking it. So bring your stamp down and you've got your image stamped. I'll place that aside for the moment. The two blue pieces that we actually coloured, what I'm wanting to do, I'm only wanting to stamp this leaf part here, or flower part I should say. So what I would tend to do is just bring down so you know where that is actually going. So then I can put my cardstock basically where I want that flower to be stamped. So I'm just going to stamp 2 flowers. Now I should be able to get another one this side. So with your little magnets, just holding that cardstock into place. And bring that over and stamp that image. I'm just going to let that ink dry, so I'll set that aside for the moment for the ink to dry. With the paint, once again, you can use a normal paintbrush. I'm actually using my water brush. I'm finding it quite nice and fine tip to actually do the fine details. So I'm just picking up a little bit of slime with the brush and just carefully keeping in those lines, not going over the black as well. So just pick it up and just a nice fine little details. So it's just a really nice pale khaki green, but it's probably one of my favourite greens as well. I think just having that water in that brush just gives it a little bit of a, like an ease to glide the paint on a little bit easier. So you can see I'm just trying to finish that little bit off. And once you finish your painting, you need to get rid of that paint off your brush before you pick up your next colour. So I've just done the nice green lines there. So I'm just going to rub or get that off with a bit of water. And then I'm going to pick up the blue. And what I'm going to do is colour in this part here only, because we're going to cut these flowers out and place that on top of our other flower. So just carefully go over those blue with the blue. Okay, we can leave it at that. You can go a little bit darker or you can leave it that wishy-washy look as well. The next step I'm going to do, once again, is grab my stamp. So we've got like a little snowflake stamp. We're just going to randomly stamp that image over the card. And basically off stamp it onto your card, so everything doesn't have to be in the middle of that card. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. Now, I've been using the Posca pens. There are a lot of different colours. I'm actually using the blue. It's called a light blue. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to colour in those little dots. You can put glitter, like a glue pen, and then add some glitter. This will just take a little while to do the dots, that's all. And all I'm doing is really just a little dot. I'm not colouring in at all, it's just filling in those little white blanks. I love the Posca pens. I like the really fine points. Okay, we're nearly there. I'm leaving the centre pieces blank at the moment because I'm going to finish those off with Diamantes. With the white Posca pen, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add some little like white highlights onto the flowers. Now you can place those anywhere you like. It just basically highlights them. Okay. The next step we're going to do is we're going to cut out our flowers, but we're not going to cut out this little tip here. So just quickly cutting around, but we're cutting that center away. And it's always making sure that your ink, your archival ink, is dry before you start putting your hands onto the cardstock, because we can tend to blob it and make it look horrible. Okay, so see how I've just cut that little V part out? Needed to cut that off, sorry. Okay, we'll pop that aside for the moment. So basically these are going to sit on top of those flowers. The next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the nice happy birthday greetings. So on this stamp set, you've got happy birthday, many happy returns, hip hip hooray, and then you've got a nice little border. So I'm going to stamp that fully. So just with a piece of cardstock, place it onto your cardstock, grab it so it's sit nice and firmly. You're then going to ink it up and then transfer that ink onto your piece of cardstock. So you basically then can go and cut those away from each other. So what I've actually done, I've already cut a piece of black cardstock and cut my happy birthday greeting down already. Okay, so with some little foam dots, I'm going to place onto the back of the black, and I'm going to glue the happy birthday onto the black cardstock. And just center that nicely onto the black. Okay, so then we can add that to the card shortly. The next step I'm going to do with the little bluebells is I'm going to put a foam dot on, put another foam dot on, and do the same with the next one. Okay, so with these here, you can give them a little bit of a bend and they seem to hold their shape. Because I'm using the Paper Artsy cardstock, it just sort of holds it nice and firm. Before we put those on though, I'm going to run around with my ruler and put a border around the edge. So once again, using the Make Art Station, I just find that this holds it into place. So with the ruler and just a black pigment pen, I'm not going to go over those stamps. I'm going to go around the stamps and just going to finish that off using a nice little black border. Okay, I can then move those magnets out of the way. Okay, just constantly keep on removing those magnets so that you can get to the area that you're wanting to draw a border. With the Make Art Station, you can get a larger mat. I've got both of them. I do find that this is quite handy for your little stencils. It's just what you're doing at the time. It's great for just holding it into position. Okay, so we've gone around the edge with our pen to give it a nice border. You're going to take the back off your, which I have already, of the little bluebell, place it, and place the next one. So it's basically looking 3D now, and I need to take that tape off, sorry. With the white pen, we're just going to add some more dots. Now I do use the Posca pens. I love the Posca pens, but I also use a Uniball as well. I find either of those pens are a really good pen to use. Okay, to finish it off, I've got some little Diamantes, so a nice little strip of Diamantes, and I'm cutting them and I'm placing those Diamantes into the center of the flowers, like the little snowflake stamps. And I just use my scissors just as a guideline, just to place those little Diamantes on. Okay, so on your birthday greetings, take the back of your foam dots or foam tape. And I'm just going to line that up. You can place it at the top, and I might place it at the top this time. Just got a bit more space there. Now I've got a white card. I'm going to fold that in half. With the black cardstock, I've just trimmed down a fraction smaller. Now you can use tape or you can use a glue to stick it onto your card. Okay, and then you're going to put your picture on top. Now you can do this in any colour you like. You don't have to do it in the blues, but it's just a nice little simple card. And I hope you have enjoyed that card. Thank you.